Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. There's so much to talk about today, but today on the episode I haven't walked in with my coffee. The setup is not similar, so clearly I'm sure you know by now that it's going to be a special episode. So let's quickly dive into what all we've got lined up on the program today. On TBC today, it's a special broadcast where we dedicate a whole program to Autism Day, Autism Awareness Day 2024. The theme for this year is colour, to celebrate people on the spectrum, different kinds, different abilities, all of which need to be talked about and celebrated. Coming up on the program. All you need to know about Green GDP. We knew what GDP is, but what exactly is Green GDP? How is it derived? All the details coming up. Also, all the IPL action. Rajasthan Royals beat Mumbai Indians by 6 wickets last night. James Alter will bring you the highlights.
अपुन का बच्चा अपुन है तब तक इसका संभाल सके, इसके बाद कोई संभाल नहीं सकेगा। सबको जानना चाहिए कि ऑटिज्म क्या है। कोई जानता नहीं है तो इसको समझना बहुत मुश्किल होता है।
देखिए, ये लोग पागल नहीं हैं, उनके ब्रेन डिफरेंटली वायर्ड है, इसके लिए वो ऐसे है। प्लीज़ उनको आप लोग समाज में एक्सेप्ट करो, वो जैसे भी है।
For society as a whole to be more inclusive, we need the help and acceptance of each and every one of you.
So every year on April 2nd, the world observes Autism Day. It is observed to raise awareness about the autism spectrum disorders, ASD as they are popularly called. This special day is aimed to remind us that autism is not a disease, it is a disorder. Autism is not Down syndrome. Autism is not kids having dysfunctional brains. Autism is not caused by vaccines. And that there is a life, and sometimes a very beautiful life even beyond autism. Sample this. Albert Einstein understood to be autistic. Isaac Newton understood to be autistic. The creator of Pokemon, Satoshi, understood to be autistic. Michelangelo, Charles Darwin, and the latest one, Elon Musk announced to the world that he is on the spectrum. So today on the program, we urge all you viewers to pay a little bit extra attention to what we're about to talk. We will cover some basics on autism. And also, since it's the Breakfast Club, we'll be joined by very special guests in our studio who will enlighten us about their journey, about how has it been on the spectrum for them. But first, some basics. I understand there are two kinds of people who really exist around us today. One who don't care about autism and others who only know about it too well. So first up, let's cover some of the questions that you might have on your mind. For example, what exactly is autism spectrum disorder? ASD is a development disability caused by differences in the brain. People with autism behave, communicate, interact and learn in ways that are different from most people. But they look just like us. They look like regular people. Like everything in life, autism, remember, is a spectrum, meaning that the abilities of the person with autism can vary. For example, some people with autism may speak very well, might communicate very well, others might not. There might be some people who need a lot of help in their daily lives and are dependent, others might not. There are others, autistic people who might find jobs, find love, find life, and that is the whole purpose of the program today, to give you an insight on that. But let's also talk about signs here quickly. People with autism mostly have problems with social communication and interaction and have restricted or what is called repetitive behavior or interest. This, think of it, is something like they have a world of their own and they are most comfortable being in that world. Now, how big or small that really world is, how accommodating it is of people, interests, different diversity varies from person to person. Like I said in the opening, the theme of this year's Autism Day is color, to honor and cherish the diverse spectrum of abilities and experiences in the autism community. So since it is about color, it is about spectrum, it is about diversity, we have a full spectrum here with us in the studio. I'm so happy to dedicate the next half an hour on the program to talk about an issue that deserves so much attention but gets so little. So hello, good morning to everybody. Let me quickly introduce our viewers also to all these special guests who are sitting next to me today. First up is 18-year-old Veer. Hi Veer.
Hi.
Veer has been on the spectrum and he's joined by his mom Gopika. Gopika is a parent, she's also an advocate and an autism consultant. Hi Gopika.
Good morning.
Also with us is Veer's friend Rushil. Hi Rushil.
Hello.
Rushil is 28-year-old. He's been on the spectrum as well and he's joined by his mother Millie.
Hi, good morning.
Millie is of course one of those super moms and we have so much done from her and Gopika. Also with us today is 25-year-old Aditi and 35-year-old Alap, both of whom are in love, are married, both of whom are also on the spectrum and they do something absolutely spectacular. They are co-founder of this company called Much Much Media and they now dedicate their life to making content on disability, on neurodiversity, on mental health and so much more. Also joining me to give us some much needed perspective on things, on how much the autism space has evolved is Ashwini. Ashwini is the head of healthcare at Jai Vakil Foundation.
Hi, good morning.
And so good to have all of you over here. I see that Veer has come with a bit of his creation over here as well. So we'll talk about all of that. But Veer, first up, this is your first time in a television studio.
Yes.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So first, can I understand the meaning of autism from you, Veer? Since the show is about telling people what autism is, do you have a definition that you want to share with everyone?
Yes.
So go ahead.
Autism is my brain thinks differently.
Yeah.
So what do you have difficulties with?
I have difficulties with talking
To a lot of
to a lot of people.
And when you were younger, you could not make
I
friends.
could not make friends when I was younger,
But now,
but now I do make friends.
Yeah. And you could, communicate this so well to us. So thank you for that. So Deepika, then the question really here is that, when we were thinking about this whole episode, and I was chatting up with all of you, and I wanted to understand autism, and I wanted people to understand the meaning of autism in a spectrum. Like everything in life, it's a spectrum. People are diagnosed at a particular stage, can develop, can get better. There is life beyond that as well. So take me through firstly, when did you diagnose? When was Veer first diagnosed? How did it happen?
so Veer was diagnosed when he was about 3 years old. And actually we kind of found out about it or realized what was going on just because of Tare Zameen Par. There were lots of articles which came out. And so I realized that there was something different about him. He has a twin sister and I realized that there is something different about him. And so we took him to a developmental pediatrician at Umeed Child Development Center. And our developmental pediatrician, Dr. Vibha Krishnamurthy, told us that he's on the spectrum. And it took some time to kind of understand what it was. But if you're asking specifically what it was that he that led us to this was that he used to somehow, he seemed to live in a world of his own. He was very happy in his own company, doing his own little thing, playing with his toys. His communication when compared to his sister was much less, and we were told the standard girls talk faster than boys.
Yeah.
eye contact was difficult. Eye contact still is sometimes a little difficult for Veer. And so all these things kind of made us realize that there is something that is different about this child, and let's find out what it is. And that's what led us to him being diagnosed on the autism spectrum.
Okay, and cut to now?
Well, now he's living a life which I could not even have envisioned. Veer is completely independent. He travels independently. He uses GPay. He goes out with his friends, which includes Rushil. Their weekend plans are much more than Millie or mine. And he's learning. He's doing a whole bunch of things. Like, do you want to tell them what you do? What do you do?
So my hobbies are baking, and I had 2 bake sales.
And what else?
Puzzles and mechano.
And what did you do?
Ran the marathon.
Yeah. Run a marathon?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's something even I haven't done in my life. It's on my bucket list. So well done, Veer. I want to talk about all those interests, including what you have over there in just a bit. But let me bring in Rushil in the conversation as well. Hi, how are you feeling today?
I'm great.
Great? Good. So Rushil, you recently got an internship, I'm told.
Yes.
Yeah, can you talk to me about the experience?
The experience was great. I am interning in hospitality department in Hotel President at Trattoria restaurant.
Oh, how lovely. So that would include a lot of people around you all the time?
Yes.
How does that work?
Great, because I have currently interned in Autocar India in the social media platform.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And do you think you can make a life out of it? This is what you want to do?
Yes, because I've always been concerned about what Skill Shakti was about. Because we are students that learn employability and life skills. And we are looking for more avenues to intern in different organizations.
Right. And so glad that these avenues are now available. But Millie, before I sort of switch to, Skill Shakti and educate our viewers on what's happening, tell us about your journey with Rushil. When did you figure it out? How has it been?
So Rushil also was diagnosed at about 3.5, and it was around the same time as my 3rd child was born. So we thought that, and at that time we noticed he had just clammed up and he was in a world of his own. He would just be spinning his toys, rocking and things like that. And we thought it's because of the new baby that he's feeling, And of course, speech and everything stopped. And then we went to Dr. Vibha Krishnamurthy. She had just come down from the States. And she immediately diagnosed him in about half an hour. And it was exactly what, and I had never heard of autism at that time. So it was a challenge initially, but yeah, with all the therapies and everything, he's come a long way.
Yeah. So when, and I just want to get a perspective here. Ashwini, when kids are diagnosed, so the thing about autism is that from, I think, 12 months to about 3 years is when you start seeing the signs, and the earlier you catch it, the better it gets?
It is. It is. So, although typically diagnosis, just like Millie's story and Gopika's story, you will see that diagnosis is made around 3 years, but the signs start becoming evident at a much earlier age. And when you go back into the histories with the parents, you can see that the children's challenges with socialization, communication, the lack of joint attention with the mother, all of these things start become evident much earlier than 3 years.
But talk to me about causes a little bit. For those of our viewers watching right now, trying to understand, are there some telltale signs? Because, it's so difficult to tell with kids. I have a 10-month-old back home. It is so difficult to tell what's really going on in their head.
It is. So some of the telltale signs that we look at, or what we look for, is how well do they relate to the people around them? How do they like to share their toys, share their feelings, share their emotions? What kind of an eye contact? It's as young as a 6-month-old will start giving you eye contact and will start looking at you when you talk to them.
While taking him for therapy, I could afford to take him for therapy, and so I started working as a therapist at Umeed. And I worked there for 10 years, working with various kids on the spectrum. and they taught me so much. And Ashwini was a colleague there and a good friend. And then when I left Umeed in 2020, I realized that all those books that I'd read all those years ago were all from the US, from Australia, from the UK. There was nothing from India. And so that's when I decided to write my book Beyond the Blue, because we really needed an Indian voice. And so that's how I didn't plan this journey into advocacy, but that's how it started with Beyond the Blue, and it continues.
Yeah, but you know, talking about the Indian perspective, even the number that we were looking at, so WHO has a number which says 1 in 100 children turns out to be autistic. That number is really outdated from what we understand. Is that true?
Well, there are different resources, and if you look at different websites and different sources, the numbers do vary. WHO, we'll rely on the WHO numbers because that is more of a worldwide kind of a number. If you look at the Center for Disease Prevention in the US, the CDC numbers or Autism Speaks numbers are very different and much higher as compared to the WHO numbers. But just to be mindful of the fact that there are still a lot of low and middle income countries like ours from where the numbers are really not reliable. We do not have a really accurate prevalence number coming out of India. So considering that, we still go by the WHO numbers for now, but we don't know what the reality is out there.
We don't know the reality, which is what brings me to the kind of awareness that really lacks when it comes to autism, when it comes to talking about the spectrum. And on that note, I want to bring in Aditi and Alap into the conversation. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Happy to
So, Aditi, you know, I'm just going to say it really out there and for everybody watching as well. When I was doing my research and I was talking to Aditi, I kept asking Aditi, are you sure you're on the spectrum? Like, are you absolutely clear about it? Because I'm not getting it. Can you please educate me on what this means? Aditi, somebody who was diagnosed at 23 years of age. It really blew my mind, and I want you to tell our audiences what you told me.
So, I mean, a lot of us slip through the cracks because our symptoms are not that visible, right? And because, like, as we speak, autism is a spectrum, and some people are able to communicate better, some are not able to communicate better, some have more challenges. So that's how it was for us also, and Alap discovered it first, and he was reading this book called Neurotribes, and that's when he started sort of joining the dots. And when he went into diagnosis, I was like, okay, I should read about autism and I should get to know more about him, about autism. And I came across some videos by autistic women on YouTube. I came across some research articles, and that's when I realized that what you see on the internet about autism is mostly about kids or mostly about boys. It's not about Indian women who are older than 18 years old. So that's when, like, when I started, and again, all these videos were made by Western women or trans people, and I realized that there is very little information about autism, and I am relating to a lot of these things, but I don't have a role model here in India, someone who I can speak to. I realized that all the challenges that I had, or all the strengths I had, like attention to detail, I focus a lot on the details as opposed to the larger picture a lot of the times, and Alap will agree to that. Having sensory sensitivity. So what my autism discovery also provided me was this world of new language, right? So when you grow up, you are not told that, okay, if voices, if loud sounds are hurting you, that is something that is different. So I found out about sensory sensitivities, like being bothered by loud sounds or being bothered by bright lights, or Alap is very sensitive to smells. So if there is something in the if the dustbin is like 2 rooms away and it's like way far, he will still be like, is there something at home that is stinking? And I'm like, okay, this is not even the same room. So these are the things, these are the little things that parents don't realize.
So
when
hold on,
they're-
you guys found each other, you found love before you found out that you were on the spectrum. This is like a match made in some heaven somewhere, I must say. But Alap, how did you discover this?
So as she said, I was reading this book called Neurotribes. For a while, I knew that there was something that wasn't like, you know, fitting too well in terms of my mental health not being in the right place. You know, I'm in the media space, so there's anxiety, and there was a lot of internal conflict with. So there's no real problem with my language as such, but communication still comes with some difficulty to me.
But hold on, you guys do movies, you guys are surrounded by people, you
Yeah.
guys are, you've been through school, college, regular upbringing.
Right.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
So it's called autistic masking essentially. So autistics mask a lot. It's a concept that is pretty much unknown to neurotypicals up until now. But essentially what autistics do is something called masking, which is presenting themselves in a way that appears to fit in with the neurotypical world around them. Because what's going on within their own worlds, as you know, people say, being in their own world, is something that they don't know they'll be accepted for in the outside world. So which is why they need to present themselves in certain ways that appears okay to the outside world around them, right? So that's called autistic masking. So eventually autistic masking takes a toll on your mental health. So that's what happens over like a repeated, sort of like a long period of time. And when I sort of went in for the diagnosis, I also read Gopika's book, Beyond the Blues, right before we met her and Veer. And you know, she says something really cool in the book. She says, for autistic people, work is play and play is work. And I really don't know any other way to like describe autism better than that. That is literally what it is. For us, our work is literally play, but playing, which is like meeting people and socializing with people, is extremely difficult. So we have to really script conversations. I mean, you know, we think about what to say, what not to say, what will be accepted, what won't be accepted. So all of those things essentially led me to go in for a diagnosis. It came out positive. My dad went in for a diagnosis after that. He's 65. He got diagnosed positive as well. Yeah, and he's a doctor. Autistic. He now does advocacy also, and there's a whole group of doctors internationally who
Doctors
advocate.
with disabilities.
They call doctors with disabilities, so they are all autistic doctors, doctors on the spectrum who practice and talk about autism, being autistic themselves. So it's a big community. It's a really big community, and you know it's growing. And thanks to autism moms also, you know, they've done most of the advocacy for so long.
Yes.
So I think they've done an amazing job, and experts. Of course.
I'm still wrapping my head around everything that you have just said. But talking about work and play, I really want to get to what's sitting right here with us. So, Veer, do you want to tell our viewers what is this? I'm told you've made this. What does it do?
So this is a windmill. It spins around. When I connect the plug to the plug point, and it spins around. It's made from Meccano.
Oh, nice. And that's the major hobby, right? Like
Yes.
to do all of this?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, Gopika, tell me, when we obviously are talking about success stories here, we're talking about how much that can be done. There are still so many, and you're right when you talk about privilege, there are so many out there who still do not understand autism. There are so many who do not have an environment which can take care of them or take care of the child, and depending on where you are placed on the spectrum, a lot of kids, and a lot of people, I must say now, after this conversation, a lot of people are undiagnosed for a really long time and are also dependent. So how do you deal with that? What is your way for people who are just discovering this about their child and their world is coming crashing down on what's really happening? What is your first thing for them?
So I think the first thing that I remember Vibha telling us when Veer was diagnosed was, and this is something I quote to all the moms and dads who I meet, is that this is a marathon, it's not a 100-meter sprint. So please take care of yourself. There is a tendency to focus on the child, which of course you must do, of course you have to, because like Ashwini said, you know, the early intervention works, the brain is growing at that time and it's like a sponge, so you want to expose your child, you want to make sure that your child is learning as much, but at the same time what tends to happen, I did it to myself, you totally neglect yourself and you burn out. And it's like that standard, you know, being on the aeroplane where the mask, oxygen mask drops.
Yeah.
So you put on
Then
your
the
oxygen mask and then before you kind of put it onto your child, that is exactly what you need to do.
Well put.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to do. So you need to be able to, of course, work with your child, but you need to be able to take care of yourself, because honestly, I know what I was like. I had all these anxieties, I had all these thoughts, I would not sleep at night. What is going to happen in the future? I never imagined this future. I never imagined a day when Veer would travel independently by cabs, use GPay, go out with his friends, have a social life. It was just not, I wouldn't even be able to imagine that he would read or write, you know, and all these things came true. But I realized, learning the wrong way, that there were times when I didn't take care of myself, and you need to be able to do that, because you're not going to be able to help your child otherwise.
Yeah. Rushil is giving me a really wide smile on that one, Millie.
I think acceptance is the key. Once you accept the situation, then, you know, everything just flows.
Yeah.
For me, I was very positive. I don't know, I just knew that everything's going to be fine and he'll be fine. Literally, I mean, once I accept wonderful people along the way, I think they've come to, you know, teach us a lot about compassion, about being non-judgmental. They're just pure souls.
And there is so much available really out there. Talk to me a little bit about the program that you got Rushil enrolled in, and what is it doing for other people on the spectrum?
There's a lovely lady called Sangeeta Advani, who is a parent of a Down syndrome daughter, and she started these classes about 3 years ago from her home, called Skill Shakti Community, where she wanted to, you know, enable these neurodiverse adults to be able to go out there into the world and, you know, get jobs and internships, and so it's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
Rushil, what do you do in this workshop?
In this workshop, we are practicing Canva, which is a design software.
Yeah.
And what else do you know?
And we are practicing Google Slides, which is very helpful for making PPTs.
We learned about finance.
We are learning about finance to be able to learn to earn money.
And budget.
Budgeting
lot of other
is
things.
important.
Yeah.
And we're learning ChatGPT, OpenAI, where we get to get information.
Yeah.
So, and what are your thoughts on ChatGPT and OpenAI?
Very knowledgeable. In case you want to find an answer to a question which you've never thought about.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. This is really.
It's the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ashwini, we are in a time, an age when there are lots of options available, or let's just put things in perspective, lots of options available for those who can afford it, and those who are in the metros, we don't know what's happening the other side. Leaving thoughts, what do you want our viewers to sort of take away from what your learnings have been so far? And the whole idea is that people, I think, don't understand that there is a life beyond the spectrum, there is a life within and with the spectrum as well, and that life, like I said in my introduction, can be very beautiful. How does one get to realize that?
It can be. So like we spoke about earlier, it is a spectrum condition is something that is going to live with you for the rest of your life. And we want all our children and adults with autism, diverse as they may be one part of the society and the community that we live in. So I think it is imperative as life lessons for us, and from the experience that we've had all these years, I think it's important, like Millie said, acceptance not just within the family, but acceptance from the community and from society at large, I think is very crucial. And what that means is, it means just go out and talk to a person with autism today. Don't hold back. Just go and say hello like you would do any other point in time. Look out for ways in which you can create opportunities to interact with them socially. Yes, their response might be a little different from yours, but that shouldn't hold us back from initiating that conversation. As society, we need to come together and create more opportunities for education, for inclusive education, and we need to create more opportunities for vocational training for our people with autism, especially for, like you said, for situations where there aren't so many resources. That is where society needs to come together and play a larger role than just the formal organizations.
And I also think there's so little research medically done on the reasons, the causes. It's just nobody's studying it. It's like pregnancy. People just assume it's going to happen, and there's such little work done on that. Quick closing comments. I'll start with you.
So I think the research honestly needs to be done from the perspective of asking people who are autistic themselves on what society can do to better their lives, because the thing is that it's not that important, I feel, to know why it's happened. It's more important to know what we can do as a society to make sure that individuals on the spectrum are leading full productive lives, and how we can change systems and society to make sure that that happens.
Yeah. I'm going to come to Millie, and then I'll give the last word to Veer and Rushil.
Yeah, I agree with what Gopika is saying. We need to know how to go forward. The society needs to prepare them how to go forward. And I just wanted to say that this is Rushil's creation that he has sketched, and yeah,
that's lovely.
Very proud of him.
That's lovely. Aditi Alap.
So I feel that, I mean, autism diagnosis is definitely not the end of the world. When people are given an autism diagnosis, it's mostly, and back in the day it was given in a way where they would say that, oh, your son or your daughter has autism. But in the autistic community, as autistics, we congratulate people when someone gets an autism diagnosis. We have congratulation cakes and parties for autism diagnosis. And I think autism needs to be celebrated as opposed to thinking that it's a tragedy. And there's a big autistic community in India and globally, which autistic people can be a part of. And there is no shame to come out there and just talk about your autism, because the more we talk about it, I think the stigma will start breaking, and the biases that people have about autistic people, the preconceived notions that people have about autism, those will start changing once we autistic people start advocating for ourselves and parents.
That's the hope. That's the hope, that after listening to all these beautiful people over here, perhaps that perspective shift will happen. Alap?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a tragedy. There's a beautiful article by Jim Sinclair. It says, "Don't mourn for us," which essentially means that once people know that you're autistic, people automatically start thinking of your life as a big tragedy. But that's definitely not the case. With the right accommodations, with the right support system, with the right people around you, we call it the village. The right people around you, autistic people can lead extremely productive, extremely self-fulfilling lives. And I think that should be the general direction that the society should be heading in, as opposed to trying to find cures or trying to find the reasons why autism happens, etc., etc. I think that's the research that needs to be done on how we can be supported as a community.
Yeah. Veer, I'm going to come to you next. Do you have a leaving note that you want to tell all our viewers about autism?
What do you want to say? That autistic people, I think that autistic people can do anything.
Yeah, I think that people can do anything.
That's like it. Rushil, in that lovely shirt of yours now, you have to give a parting note to all our viewers.
That creative designs.
Nice.
Everyone has creativity.
Everyone has their own creativity.
Decorative designs, decorative lives. That is my takeaway from all of this. Thank you all so much for joining us, for sharing your stories with us. This has been very inspirational, educational, and I really hope we've been able to put that message across to our viewers as well on what is the meaning of autism, what is the spectrum all about, what does living with autism really mean, and what is a life that you can create that if you are living it to its full potential. On that note, we're going to slip into a break. There's more coming up on the other side.
இந்தாங்க சார் உங்க
Hello and welcome to the brand new series Election Street Side. This will be a fun segment where we'll be focusing on food, but we'll be also talking about the politics. In fact, it's just few months for the general elections and we are here to gauge from the people exactly what they think about the coming up elections and also about their particular candidates. While taking a stroll in the streets of Chandni Chowk, one thing we cannot miss is Golgappas or the puchkas we say. This is Padam Chaat Corner here in Chandni Chowk. Perhaps this is one of those hidden gems a lot of people don't know about. Some people might know because this is a local eatery situated in the streets of the national capital. In fact, I found a family over here. I dare not disturb them while eating. In fact, the gentleman over there is still enjoying the bhalla and dahi golgappa and stuff. Sir, दही भल्ले का आप मज़ा लेता रहिए. एक चीज़ पूछना चाहूँगा, दिल्ली में और देश में चुनाव आने वाले हैं, बहुत कम समय रह गया है. क्या देखते हैं अभी की सिचुएशन के हिसाब से? क्या लगता है आपके मनपसंद प्रत्याशी कौन है? क्या किसको जीतता देखते हैं?
जीतेगा तो बीजेपी.
अच्छा, क्यों इतनी श्योरिटी क्यों है आपको?
क्योंकि काम अच्छा हो रहा है और आम आदमी पार्टी के बारे में तो सबको पता चल ही चुका है. अभी कितने घोटाला हुआ है, तो फिर उसके बाद कुछ बोलने का बचा ही नहीं है.
एक होता है मेरिट पे वोट देना और एक होता है चेहरे पे वोट देना. आप क्या चूज करते हैं, मेरिट या चेहरा?
अभी तो मेरिट पे ही वोट दिया जाएगा, कभी चेहरे पे वोट नहीं जाएगा.
अच्छा.
कोई सगा नहीं है. मेरिट जिसका अच्छा है वो उसी को वोट देना चाहिए. वो चलो ठीक है, मैं बोल दिया बीजेपी को जीतेगा, पर आम आदमी पार्टी का कोई अच्छा चेहरा होगा तो वो जीतेगा.
अच्छा, आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी कौन सी होती है?
साउथ दिल्ली.
साउथ दिल्ली. तो आपके प्रत्याशी
रामबीर सिंह बिधूड़ी है उसमें से
जी.
और सहीराम पहलवान आम आदमी पार्टी से.
जी जी जी. तो क्या कहते हैं, मतलब आप खासी अगर मोटे तौर पे देखा जाए तो आप खुश रहे हैं भाजपा के काम से और उन्हीं को अगली बार दोबारा देखना चाहते हैं?
भाजपा का काम तो देखो, इतनी बड़े देश में सब काम सबको पसंद नहीं आता है, पर फिर भी
Welcome back. We are going to talk about something very interesting now, and it is called Green GDP. Now, GDP we all understand, right? It's the most common measure of the size of economy, value of goods, services that the economy produces in a certain period of time. It is generally an indicator of growth. But what exactly is Green GDP? And how exactly is it measured? Why is it such a topic of discussion even with the world leaders, Bill Gates and the Prime Minister included? Shrishti is here with us in the studio to take you through all the details. Shrishti, tell us, what exactly is Green GDP?
Oh, very good morning to you, Sonal. So, like you've rightly said, GDP is a term that we all are aware of. It is an indicator of how prosperous a nation is, the size of the economy, but it doesn't take into account one very important factor, and that is the environmental concerns. The economic development of any country comes at a huge environmental cost. Any kind of manufacturing we talk about, it leads to depletion of the natural resources, leads to land degradation, felling of trees, and also causes a lot of pollution, whether it's air pollution, water pollution, or the waste pollution. So economists around the world have been advocating the use of green GDP. So basically integrating green GDP within the overall GDP. So that means it will take into account all the environmental consequences of any kind of development that happens within a country. And it's not really a new term. The discussions on green GDP date back to 1970s, and some countries have even experimented with devising a term called green GDP. Our research shows that China in early 2000s, they held these discussions. They tried to bring green GDP, but then it could not really take off because of political reasons. Another major reason is that it's very difficult to quantify the environmental damage. We need a lot of data, and it's often observed that countries do not really take into account how much pollution manufacturing causes, how much land degradation really happens. And that is why over the last, let's say 2 decades, we have seen that countries, including India, are doing a lot of surveys to estimate this cost. India also started discussing Green GDP and tried to integrate it, but it hasn't really happened so far. Several other countries like South Korea and the US, and as well as the European countries, are also having certain indices. They're not really green GDP, but similar to that extent. We spoke to some of the senior economists as well. We spoke to Ms. Vibhuti Garg. She is the Director South Asia of IFA, and she says that India is a leading economy, and considering the rapid urbanization and population growth which is happening, it's very important that we have something called green GDP, because provides a holistic framework to integrate the environmental cost within the economic decision making, and will definitely help us, reach the sustainable development goals. And especially at a time when we are really talking about climate change, and India is a vulnerable country, so definitely it gives out a signal to all the policy makers.
Right. So it's often said that growth these days comes at the cost of the environment. From what I'm understanding from you is that green GDP would give you what exactly that cost is. And putting a number to it, understanding where it's going, gives us a way forward on how much damage we're actually doing to the environment, and thus taking, accounting for it, and then of course working upon it as well. So that's an interesting term out there. Thanks Shrishti for joining us with the very latest. All right, so we spoke on autism, we spoke on green GDP. Let's bring some fun and play into this now. Let's talk about all the IPL action. Now, last night's match was quite a thriller. Rajasthan Royals beat Mumbai Indians by 6 wickets to go on top in standings. And of course, we then called up James Alter to take us through all the highlights and what's coming up on the match today.
Well, not the best result if you're a Mumbai Indians fan, because this result has left the franchise, the 5-time IPL winners, at the bottom of the points table with 3 consecutive losses in a row. On the other hand, Rajasthan Royals right at the top with a hat-trick of wins. Now, we all know how much anticipation, expectation, excitement centered around yesterday's match, because this was Mumbai Indians' first match at home at the Wankhede Stadium, and this was a homecoming of sorts for the new captain Hardik Pandya, who, as you all must be aware, was away for 2 years when he joined Gujarat Titans, whom he captained to the IPL title in 2022, and then last year in 2023 led them to the final, where they ended up losing to Chennai Super Kings in a heart-stopping match which went down to the last ball. So against all that, the selection puzzles regarding Mumbai Indians teams, even before we get to discussing last night's game, so much has been discussed and debated, and it was very interesting for me personally to sort of see how Hardik Pandya would conduct himself in that cauldron that is the Wankhede Stadium, where the fans, let's face it, do not hold back in voicing their opinions. Things didn't go well at the toss. They were put in to bat, and Trent Bolt taking 3 wickets in his first spell, 3 batsmen getting ducks, that is Rohit Sharma, Naman Dheer, and then Duval Brevis. And then once Nandre Berger got rid of Ishan Kishan to leave the score 20 for 4 in the 4th over, the writing was on the wall in regards to this Mumbai innings. Where would the fight back come from? Hardik Pandya, to his credit, led a brief recovery with a cameo innings, but then again some strange calls, sending Piyush Chawla ahead of arguably the best T20 globe-trotting finisher there is, Australia's Tim David, and somehow the score huffed and puffed to 125 for 9, which, given Mumbai Indians' rather threadbare bowling attack, was never really going to test Rajasthan Royals. Thanks to Akash Madhwal, who got his first match of the season, things did get interesting, but the man of the season, the young flavor of the season, a man who has faced his share of trolls on social media for a rather underwhelming IPL career up till this season, Riyan Parag, the youngster from Assam, once again, second 50 in a row, third impactful innings, in a row this year for RR. It just shows what you can achieve if you put in a breakout domestic season. An outstanding Vijay Hazare Trophy for Riyan Parag, an outstanding Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy for Riyan Parag. What does that result in? It results in, at the start of this IPL, an immediate new role. That is not 6, not 7, batting at number 4. The most important place in today's T20 batting lineup is number 4, because you often have to set the pace, you often have to accelerate with very few balls left, and as we saw today, you often have to sort of take stock and try and revive the innings. So full marks to Riyan Parag for doing that. But for me, the stars of the show were Trent Bolt with 3 wickets, and then Yuzvendra Chahal. What a fantastic story he is. Has his presence on social media along with his wife. He's the king of reels, he's the king of clips. Really, really funny, jovial character, but he has a history with Mumbai Indians. He used to play with them before he went to RCB, and back at the Wankhede Stadium, where not too many spinners have enjoyed that much success over a prolonged period of time, it was Yuzvendra Chahal who took 3 wickets, hardly giving away 11 or 12 runs in 4 overs. With that kind of bowling, Trent Bolt, Yuzvendra Chahal, Nandre Burgers, 2 strikes, and then that fantastic innings, unbeaten half century from Riyan Parag. Very, very tough to stop this RR team. That was the recap of last night's match, and let's see what today's match brings. We've got another classic contest coming up. Virat Kohli, the leading man, or the lone warrior in fact for RCB. Can he do it again? Can the other foreign batters stand up and support RCB? Can RCB get their campaign back on track? Another cracker of a match, which already, if you take one look at social media, is creating quite the stir.
Quite the stir indeed, and we'll be watching out for all those details and get Jamie back tomorrow to give you all that action in case you've missed it. But with that, let's switch to what else is making news in India and across the globe.
Today is National DIY Day. Now, what is National DIY Day? Let me take you through it. It's a day all about being creative and doing things yourself. Whether it's making crafts, fixing things at home, or working in the garden, it's a time for people of all ages and skills to enjoy making things with their own hands. From crafting and home improvement to gardening and beyond, this day encourages people of all ages and skill levels to unleash their inner DIY enthusiast. And today marks the significance of the primaries unfolding across 4 states in United States, notably in the critical battleground of Wisconsin. It's a day where US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are expected to cement their positions as the clear frontrunners for their party nominations. However, amidst this electoral certainty, there are intriguing undercurrents, with some Democratic voters expressing dissent over Joe Biden's stance on Israel's military actions, while attention remains keen on Trump's performance. And a clash between the Trump camp and the White House sparked controversy over US President Joe Biden's recognition of Transgender Day of Visibility on March 31st. The proclamation, coinciding with Easter, has drawn criticism from Donald Trump's campaign and religious conservatives, accusing Biden of insensitivity towards religious sentiments. And a significant development unfolds in the aftermath of a 2-week raid as Israeli troops withdraw from Gaza's largest hospital, Shifa Hospital. Palestinian residents report a scene of devastation with several bodies left behind amidst widespread destruction. While the Israeli military hails the operation as a success, claiming to have targeted Hamas and other militants, the UN Health Agency raises concerns over casualties and the worsening of an already dire healthcare situation. A sobering outlook emerges for Asian economies as a World Bank report highlights looming challenges. Despite earlier optimism, the region faces a projected slowdown in growth to 4.5% this year, down from 5.1% in 2023. The report underscores concerns over mounting debt, persistent trade barriers, and policy uncertainties, casting shadows on economic prospects. Now, urgent calls are made for governments to address systemic issues, including weak social safety nets and inadequate investment in education to foster the long-term resilience. And just days after the launch of Xiaomi's debut electric vehicle, eager buyers are now facing a staggering wait time of up to 6 months for the delivery. The surge in demand is evidenced by over 88,000 pre-orders within 24 hours. This has led to delay in fulfilling orders, and some customers informed of a 27-week wait for the SU7 Max model. And a stern warning has been issued to journalists amidst reports of souvenirs disappearing from US President Joe Biden's official aircraft, the Air Force One. Now, following an inventory check revealing missing items including branded pillowcases and gold-rimmed plates, the White House Correspondents Association has emphasized the prohibition against such actions.
All right, that's all we could pack in today's edition of the Breakfast Club. If you have some feedback about the program, if there are other stories you want us to cover, do write it to us. Our numbers and handles are flashing on your screen. We take your feedback very, very seriously. So write in and we will see you again tomorrow, 8 a.m. Bye-bye.
A simple thing. Why is there no AFSPA in Karnataka? Why is there no AFSPA in Andhra Pradesh or in Maharashtra? Because the situation there does not warrant the need for an Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Whereas in Kashmir, there was a situation, that certainly was a situation which warranted the need to keep AFSPA.
Remember, viewers, Ansari has immense political clout over the Muslim vote, not just in Banda but across Uttar Pradesh. Was it this, that the opposition should be seen to be siding with this A-grade thug?
The courts have also remarked that why are you coming to us now when it was your own lackadaisical attitude? You didn't respond to the IT notices in the past. Maybe you thought you could get away with it. Why are you playing the political victim card here? Is it not Congress's own doing if you couldn't handle your tax matters? What does this have to do with democracy?
The Enforcement Directorate had sent 9 summons to him. You may call them illegal and unlawful, but if you and I were summoned, if the common man was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate or any other agency, we could not have gotten away by calling it unlawful and illegal.
Papa, college.
Hello and welcome to the brand new series Election Street Side. This will be a fun segment where we'll be focusing on food, but we'll be also talking about the politics. In fact, it's just few months for the general elections and we are here to gauge from the people exactly what they think about the coming up elections and also about their particular candidates. While taking a stroll in the streets of Chandni Chowk, one thing we cannot miss is Golgappas or the Puchkas we say. This is Padam Chaat Corner here in Chandni Chowk. Perhaps this is one of those hidden gems a lot of people don't know about. Some people might know because this is a local eatery situated in the streets of the national capital. In fact, I found a family over here. I dare not disturb them while eating. In fact, the gentleman over there is still enjoying the bhalla and dahi golgappa and stuff. Sir, दही भल्ले का आप मज़ा लेता रहिए. एक चीज़ पूछना चाहूँगा, दिल्ली में और देश में चुनाव आने वाले हैं, बहुत कम समय रह गया है. क्या देखते हैं अभी की सिचुएशन के हिसाब से? क्या लगता है आपके मनपसंद प्रत्याशी कौन है? क्या किसको जीतता देखते हैं?
भैया जीतेगा तो बीजेपी.
अच्छा, क्यों इतनी श्योरिटी क्यों है आपको?
क्योंकि काम अच्छा हो रहा है और आम आदमी पार्टी के बारे में तो सबको पता चल ही चुका है. अभी कितने घोटाला हुआ है, तो फिर उसके बाद कुछ बोलने का बचा ही नहीं है.
एक होता है मेरिट पे वोट देना और एक होता है चेहरे पे वोट देना. आप क्या चूज करते हैं, मेरिट या चेहरा?
अभी तो मेरिट पे ही वोट दिया जाएगा, कभी चेहरे पे वोट नहीं जाएगा. कोई सगा नहीं है. मेरिट जिसका अच्छा है वो उसी को वोट देना चाहिए। वो चलो ठीक है, मैं बोल दिया बीजेपी को जीतेगा, पर आम आदमी पार्टी का कोई अच्छा चेहरा होगा तो वो जीतेगा।
अच्छा, आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी कौन सी होती है?
साउथ दिल्ली।
साउथ दिल्ली। तो आपके प्रत्याशी
रामवीर सिंह बिधूड़ी है उसमें से
जी,
और सहीराम पहलवान आम आदमी पार्टी से।
जी जी जी। तो क्या कहते हैं, मतलब आप खासी अगर मोटे तौर पे देखा जाए तो आप खुश रहे हैं भाजपा के?
A very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching the morning news on CNN News 18. I'm Anjali Pandey here to take you through all the latest news and updates from across the nation and around the world. And our top focus of this hour is on the row over Katchatheevu Island. Now, as the Lok Sabha elections draw near, the Katchatheevu Island, which is located in the waters between India and Sri Lanka, has triggered a political slugfest. Former Finance Minister and Congress MP P. Chidambaram on Monday defended the agreement to give away the island to Sri Lanka and said that this agreement was signed in 1974 and 1976 after very long negotiations. And in fact, he also hit back at the External Affairs Minister, and Chidambaram referred to an RTI reply by the Ministry of External Affairs on January 25th, 2015. Now, the reply justified the circumstances under which India acknowledged that the small island belonged to Sri Lanka. The Congress is now questioning Jaishankar's changing stances. Now, remember, on Monday, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar claimed that Prime Ministers from the Congress displayed indifference about Katchatheevu Island and gave away the Indian fishermen's rights despite legal views to the contrary.
Fact is, they simply did not care. And to demonstrate that, I think if one looks at, again, this is there in one of the documents of the released under RTI. This is an observation by the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in May of 1961. He writes, I attach no importance at all to this little island, and I would have no hesitation in giving up our claim to it. I do not like matters like this pending indefinitely, called G. Vishwanathan from Tamil Nadu. And he says, this is I'm quoting from Parliament records, we are worried about Diego Garcia, thousands of miles away from Indian territory. But we are not worried about this small island. When we speak of it, the Prime Minister, he's talking about Indira Gandhi ji, the Prime Minister is said to have remarked in the AICC meeting that this is a little rock. As you can see, this is not just one Prime Minister, whether it was Pandit Nehru or whether it was Indira Gandhi. This very dismissive attitude, this little rock, this small island of no importance, this was the historic Congress attitude towards Katchatheevu. Now, again, please don't think it's an individual view. This was actually, in a way, had seeped into the party thinking. It is important for the people of Tamil Nadu to know the truth about a very emotive issue on which the public has been misled for many, many years. The purpose, there is only one purpose for this press conference. That purpose is the public has the right to know. The public in Tamil Nadu particularly has a right to know about an issue on which there has been so much debate in the last 50 years.
This settlement was arrived at in 1974 and 1976 after prolonged negotiations. If the Honorable Prime Minister is referring to a recent RTI reply, he should ask for the RTI reply on 27th January 2015, when I believe Mr. Jaishankar was the Foreign Secretary. And that reply was signed by one Dr. Ranjan, an Under-Secretary or Deputy Secretary at the NEA.
And CNN News 18's Pallavi Ghosh and Aman Sharma are now joining us on this story. Pallavi, coming to you first. After the centre's attack against the Congress party, the Congress has now hit back at all the allegations, citing a 2015 RTI report. Could you give us more details about that?
Yes, in fact, what the Congress is accusing the BJP and the Prime Minister of is a selective leakage of RTI which only suits their narrative. And also the timing is something which the Congress is picking up. The 2015 RTI, which has been put out by the Congress party whenever they had their responses whole of yesterday and today, very clearly quotes from segments of it which says that first of all, there was no standing agreement which took place between the two countries. And second, at that point of time, there were considerations which are kept in mind when there was a handover of the island to Sri Lanka was made. Another point which the Congress party is making is that there was another agreement which was signed by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, where she sought and she got the repatriation of around 6 lakh Tamilians staying in Sri Lanka into Tamil Nadu. We all know that Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka have a very deep connect. Large number of Tamilians have settled there for generations. They work there. So that kind of feeling does take place between the two. So the main fulcrum of the argument of the Congress is very simple. One is that if the Prime Minister had referred to it in Lok Sabha in 2023, then they are in power at the centre. What was stopping them from doing something about it? Second, why is the timing taken up at this point of time when clearly Mission South is one of the agendas of the BJP and there are elections round the corner? For the BJP, this is yet another instance and opportunity to hit back at the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty. Plus, beyond Tamil Nadu, the larger narrative, Anjali, is that the Congress party has always had scant regard for nationalism and national interest.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Aman, coming to you. The first petitioner in the Katchatheevu Island case has also warned of some serious results of this, of handing over the island to Sri Lanka. He has mentioned about the China factor. If you could just throw more light on that.
See, Anjali, the stand of the BJP here is that, the island was handed over to Sri Lanka. One, the way it was handed over. Why did the government not contest this case more strongly? There was an opinion by the Attorney General, MC Setalwad, then saying that India's sovereignty over this island is much more stronger, case is much more stronger than that of Sri Lanka. That is number one. Number two is this ambivalence in the government at that time. Jawaharlal Nehru attaching no importance to it. Then M. Karunanidhi also, in a way, giving his implicit approval to it while not taking a public stand on it for political reasons. This is the manner in which the political attack has been mounted by the BJP, that, both the Congress and the DMK were hand in glove in this whole thing. And now we are seeing the Prime Minister raise it again and again. Today, Prime Minister has 2 more rallies, election rallies, and we expect this issue to come up again in his rallies, with him launching an attack again on the Congress, and both the Congress and the DMK saying that these two India allies have compromised the territorial integrity of India. Number 2 is the constant problem that Indian fishermen are facing due to this particular decision. What happens is that Indian fishermen who go into these waters are arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy. Their boats are seized, and it's been going on forever. It's been going on for nearly 2 to 3 decades now that Indian fishermen issue is coming to the bilateral table every time. India has to make a lot of efforts to get this fishermen released from Sri Lankan custody, because this particular island has gone to Sri Lanka, and the fishermen go there because there is more fish around that island. Fish quantity around Indian shore is a bit less, and that is why fishermen go deeper into the waters and they get arrested. So, and the DMK in fact has been pressing the central government to get back this island because of this particular issue, citing the plight of the fishermen. So the centre is now saying that while on one hand, the DMK is citing the plight of the fishermen, the misery they have to go through because they are jailed, their boats are seized, they are asking the centre to get back this island from Sri Lanka, but at the same time, the DMK was hand in glove when it came to handing over this island in 1974 to Sri Lanka, and the DMK now has much to answer. And I think the Prime Minister's attack today, if it comes in his rallies, will also be a lot on the DMK, because he has so far publicly not spoken out at a rally against the DMK. The last rally in Meerut, the Prime Minister attacked the Congress for doing what it did, but now the DMK is also under the PM's attack this time.
All right, Aman and Pallavi, please stay with us. Now let's take a look at what actually the 2015 RTI reveals on the Katchatheevu Island that has been cited by the Congress party. Now it states that 1974 agreement did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory This is what the 2015 RTI reveals, the territory that belongs to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. So this is what 2015 RTI reveals, that the area was never demarcated, and under the agreements, the island of Katchatheevu is on the Sri Lankan side of the water of the India-Sri Lanka International Maritime Boundary Line. This is what was there in the 2015 RTI, which has now been cited by the Congress party while hitting back at the centre over the allegations on Katchatheevu. Pallavi continues. Pallavi and Aman continue to stay with us. Pallavi, now coming to you. The claim that is coming in from the Congress party is that there are discrepancies in the 2015 RTI report and the 2024 RTI report. And they have even questioned that, is that because the elections are near?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole of yesterday, the Congress party, Anjali, has been consistently making the point that, first of all, which I just mentioned, if like when the Prime Minister spoke about it for the first time in Lok Sabha in 2023, why is it that the government is now raking this up issue? They had enough of time because they are in power, clearly, and they could have done something about it, because the BJP has always claimed to, and the government has always claimed to have a very robust foreign policy. And, you know, it could have been very easily done. And why was it not done? Second, I mean, a leader after leader has gone on to say that this is just a selective usage of the RTI report. Whatever side suits the BJP narrative, they pick it up and they try to create a narrative. They're trying to create a rift between the DMK and the Congress. Like, more than a Congress, which is, of course, a national level party and also has stakes in Tamil Nadu, DMK is a Tamil Nadu based party. That's an emotive factor, because Tamil versus Tamil, along with Sri Lanka, is always had that very deep emotional connect for generations, as we were talking about, Anjali. So what is the BJP trying to do politically? Stoke and provoke the DMK to ask them this question: look, isn't the Congress becoming a liability for you? How are you going to respond to that? And when we are going to see the election dates nearing in Tamil Nadu, of course the BJP is going to build up the tempo on this. That's what they are doing vis-a-vis the DMK. But moving beyond that at the national level, as I just pointed out, of course they are going to push the narrative that the Congress has always been against nationalism. 2019 Lok Sabha elections, Pulwama, Balakot airstrike, something which the BJP has never allowed the Congress to forget. And that's the point which Congress has been saying. That, and Digvijay Singh, I remember, Udit Raj, all of them would say, let elections come, BJP will find out an agenda and they're going to push it and they're going to try and play the nationalism card. That's exactly what the Congress is now accusing the BJP of.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Aman, now coming to you, in yesterday's press conference that was held by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he said that it was the Congress that gave away the island, but it was the DMK that hid it. In fact, the 2024 RTI also mentions that Karunanidhi was very well taken into confidence, and he took this decision to not make any public stand for obvious political reasons. So what could have been these obvious political reasons?
Well, Anjali, that is the real damaging part for the DMK here. You know, DMK always has taken a public stand that it did not want this island to be given away to Sri Lanka. That's been the DMK's consistent stand. It has been writing to the centre to, in fact, get back the island. But now what has transpired through this RTI, the new revelation which has come is that in 1974, Indira Gandhi had sent the then Foreign Secretary, Mr. Keval Singh, to Chennai to meet Mr. M. Karunanidhi, who was then the DMK chief as well as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. The Chief Minister was briefed about the entire suggested proposal that, you know, to hand over this island to Sri Lanka and settle this dispute as a bilateral measure. Mr. M. Karunanidhi said he was in principle agreement with it. He was convinced by it. Only that M. Karunanidhi is quoted in that RTI document saying that, you know, I cannot be expected to take a political stand over it publicly because, you know, there are political reasons. He even promised the Foreign Secretary that he would keep the reaction in Tamil Nadu at a low key, ensure that things don't go out of hand, because it's an emotive issue for people of Tamil Nadu. So in a way, Mr. Karunanidhi, while in the public, he was, you know, saying that, you know, DMK is against it. DMK has been saying that consistently. This RTI document is now for the first time revealing that Mr. M. Karunanidhi was actually taken on board by the centre before this decision was taken. He promised them full cooperation. He even promised them that the reaction in Tamil Nadu to this move would be kept at low key and he will ensure that things don't go out of hand. And the centre had appreciated Mr. Karunanidhi's stand. At that RTO document said the Foreign Secretary thanked him, saying that, you know, nothing should be done which should embarrass the centre or create a rift within the centre and the state government. So this is what is, I think, creating a lot of trouble for the DMK ahead of the election season in Tamil Nadu, because the BJP now is going hammer and tongs. Mr. Annamalai, Mr. Narendra Modi, when they begin their campaign, Mr. Annamalai has already begun. When Mr. Modi next visits Tamil Nadu, he will be saying that, look, this is the party which has lied to the people of Tamil Nadu. On the face of it, they say they stand for not giving away the island, but in private, when the centre consulted them, when the Congress consulted them in 1974, no less than the foreign secretary flew down to Chennai to speak to Mr. Karunanidhi. Mr. Karunanidhi gave his assent, and the Congress could not have done this move without the assent of Mr. Karunanidhi. So what the DMK is saying, DMK has hid this fact for nearly 50 years, and now it's been exposed, and DMK has been lying to the people of Tamil Nadu. That will be the BJP's political gambit in the Tamil Nadu elections as the state goes to polls in the first phase, Anjali, on 19th April.
All right, Aman and Pallavi, please stay with us. Let's take a look at some political reactions that have come on this story.
आज कंसीलमेंट, कंस्पिरेसी और कल्यूजन इन 3 C's का जो खुलासा हुआ है कच्चातीवू के संदर्भ में कि किस प्रकार से भारत के एक अभिन्न अंग, केवल एक जमीन का टुकड़ा नहीं, एक ऐसी भूमि जो भारत और तमिल का एक हिस्सा था और जिससे तमिलनाडु के मछुआरों की जीवनी और जिंदगी और सुरक्षा जुड़ी हुई थी, उसको कंसीलमेंट, कंस्पिरेसी और कल्यूजन से कांग्रेस और डीएमके के प्रथम परिवार ने सौंप दिया थाली में.
So, but we opposed to giving away Katchatheevu to Sri Lanka. We had passed a resolution in the assembly, we had spoken in the parliament, and we had, our CM also had gone to Supreme Court against the secession of Katchatheevu after 76. So we were never in favor of that giving away Katchatheevu to Sri Lanka. In 1974, it is not the question of giving away Katchatheevu did not arise. During 76, when the DMK was not in power here, that clause was removed. So we opposed it.
What is the responsibility of the BJP government? What is the responsibility of the now External Affairs Minister who is going on giving press briefings without lifting his little finger about retrieval of Katchatheevu? What Mr. Jaishankar has spoken in the press meet is pure hogwash. If there was a press meet, it should have been a press conference where everybody should have been asked to question him. Then they would have asked him about Chinese incursion. They would have asked him what he said about China. It is a bigger economy. How can we fight them? The press people would have asked him about that, and the press people would have also questioned him about the exchange of enclaves with Bangladesh.
And Aman and Pallavi continue to stay with us. Pallavi, how do you think this whole controversy is going to have an impact on the polls, given that the centre has attacked 2 parties at the same time, which are the Congress and the DMK?
Well, I mean, if you speak to Congress and DMK sources, Anjali, they are not too worried about it because what they are telling us is that it's been a long time and these things are being raked up a little bit too late and it doesn't really make a difference. And there's a grey area. I mean, you know, the selective leakage of an RTI, the counter RTI by the Congress party of 2015, and you heard just a statement of DMK, the spokesperson as well. So the DMK will feel that when it comes to Tamil pride, they are certainly much heads above as far as the BJP is concerned. The so-called imposition of the northern culture, the Hindi on South, especially on Tamil Nadu. I mean, this is something which the DMK is often accused, say the Home Minister Amit Shah on, though the Prime Minister clarified it in his recent interview. You know, these are the points which I think a party like the DMK will always raise. So Congress is a small player in the state, but because they're an ally of the DMK, that's where the collateral damage does come in on the DMK. But if you speak to them, and I spoke to my sources, they certainly are bracing it out and they don't think it's much of an issue. But that doesn't mean that they don't counter in politics. Of course, you do that. And in the run-up to the first phase of polling, which is going to be in Tamil Nadu, of course, this is going to be an issue which the BJP will rake up, the Prime Minister himself will, Nirmala Sitharaman, all of them who are going to be fielded will, and the BJP and the Congress plus the DMK, of course, will vociferously